Ying is a weak, desperate loser who can't get girls even if he trades his kidneys for it. However, everything changes when he saves a magical baddie but accidentally steals half of her powers. Now he has to crack her to get stronger. Everything starts on a stormy, thunderous night when Ying is on his security job and suddenly, the power is cut off. Ying is told by his senior to go check on it, and when he goes to investigate, he finds the door heading to the rooftop busted open. Doing his job, he goes to check and finds a girl there named Mizu, floating in the sky, and she is in the middle of activating a spell called Heavenly Tribulation. When she sees him, she gets distracted, and lightning suddenly strikes her, knocking her unconscious and sending her falling to the ground. Seeing the scandalous state she is in, Yin first pretends not to see her, but then changes his mind and decides to try resuscitating her. He presses his lips to hers right away, and a bright glow shoots up into the sky. A few seconds later, Mizu opens her eyes, sees his face, and did to him what Will Smith did to Chris Rock. Ying tries to explain that it's all a misunderstanding, but she accuses him of stealing her first kiss, so she slaps him again and storms off, hoping she never sees him again. However, on her way down, Mizu feels relieved that the idiot didn't witness the heavenly tribulation, but then she suddenly feels a strange shock and realizes her power has weakened. Confused, she wonders what went wrong, not knowing that while she's losing powers, Ying is gaining powers in his sleep, with his whole room glowing with it. The next day, he sits in a park, confused about why life suddenly feels fantastic, with his eyesight improved, and even his hearing to the point he can hear colors.
Nani?
While sitting there, he notices Mizu walking past, being rizzed up by some rich chump who's gagging on his daddy's money and glizzy. Just then, an eyeball pops up in the sky, and seeing that there's a new cultivator, he decides to sabotage a massive billboard just above a woman on the street. It starts chaos, and sensing the danger, Yin runs toward her. Just as the billboard is about to crush her, he accidentally activates a strange power and sends it crashing into another building instead. But then, the dude collapses. Sometime later, Ying wakes up inside a hotel room, tied to a bed, with Mizu staring him down.
Yeah, boy.
She then gets on top of him and touches him like she wants him to become Spurty Magoo and give her plenty of juniors.
Women.
However, when she sees that he's not responding to his hoe-like techniques, she backs off, muttering that the techniques she learned online didn't work. She then tells him she's here to take back what belongs to her, but Yin has no idea what she means. She reminds him of the billboard incident and explains that he used her power to do it. When she sees that Ying is still refusing to believe, Mizu reveals that she is a cultivator and summons a sword called the Black Sky, which she's willing to use on him like he's Mia Khalifa to her Johnny Sins. She tells him strictly that he has to choose between getting pounded by her Black Sky or cultivating together with her and aiming for immortality. After that, they ride a lift to the rooftop, and Ying talks about how beautiful the city looks at night. Mizu tells him that kind of beauty is only on the surface, and that the city is filled with darkness. Ying asks if she knows what really happens in those dark areas, but she admits that she doesn't. So Ying says it's better to focus on the bright side and use his power to help people stuck in those dark places. Moments later, they reach the rooftop, and there, Mizu tells Ying to grow some balls and jump if he wants to grow stronger quickly, since people often gain power when they're close to death, like those yellow-haired alien dudes. Ying complains that it might not work, but Mizu shrugs and says the worst that could happen is him ending up in the news the next day, splattered all around the floor. She adds that he's too naive, and if he doesn't awaken his hidden main character plot armor, other cultivators will wipe him out sooner or later. Hearing that, Ying walks to the edge of the roof but starts hesitating. Without warning, Mizu grabs him and pushes him off. As he falls, she tries to activate his power but fails, and he can already see Kobe and Ace greeting him in the afterlife. But then, Mizu jumps after him, and when this psycho chick reaches him midair, she tells him that they're going to die together. He accepts what's about to happen and hugs her tightly as they keep falling. However, just before they splatter all around the floor, Ying suddenly grows wings, lands safely, and then flies back up into the sky. Seeing him, Mizu blushes from how cool and crackworthy he looks at that moment, but Ying ruins it by saying some cheap jokes about how they won't need airplanes anymore.
Stupid!
And Mizu grabs him and slams him back down to the ground. She warns him not to get arrogant, reminding him that the cultivation world shows no mercy to beginners. She tells him not to show off his abilities, or that next time, a cultivator other than her will be there to send him off straight to hell. Somewhere else, a master senses a strange fluctuation in power and sends his subordinate to investigate. He tells her to test the person's strength, and if they turn out to be weak, to show zero mercy. The next day, as Mizu and Ying walk through the street, the same dude who's living off his daddy's money is waiting for Mizu, hoping that she will go on a date with him instead of a loser like Ying. However, Mizu simply says that she is too tired to go on a date after how Ying took her on the whole night, breaking the bed and her pelvis. Hearing that, the guy instantly gets jealous and tries to attack Ying, but Mizu steps in and slaps him hard, making it clear that only she has the right to smack the face of her handsome baby daddy. She then walks off with Ying beside her, leaving the loser beaten. Later, Mizu discovers that Ying is still stuck using the old Nokia, which can withstand the apocalypse, and makes fun of him, saying she's not even sure he knows how to use WeChat. Ying shrugs and says the messaging feature is enough for him.
You're broke!
But realizing how bad that sounds, Mizu takes the phone from him and hands him a brand new smartphone instead, which leaves him in tears with how kind her gesture is. After calming down, he asks her why, unlike other powerful cultivators, she doesn't try to end his life. Mizu responds that most of her spirit powers are in him, and if she were to butcher him, all of her powers would disappear with him, unless they keep cultivating together. Hearing that, Ying awkwardly asks if they can continue cultivating later that night, which immediately makes her heart skip a beat. Realizing he went too far, Ying tries walking away, but Mizu grabs his hand and starts running, too impatient to wait any longer. As she drags him along, Ying realizes he's already starting to fall for her. Meanwhile, Yu Wei, the cultivator sent out to test Ying, is already causing havoc, taking innocent lives with no remorse, and enjoying like she's a fat hoe in a buffet. The day after, Yu Wei goes to the exact spot where Ying's spirit energy was first detected. As she scans the people around her, she figures the spirit energy was from a testosterone-full, willy-swinging man. With so many around, she wonders how she's supposed to find him. But then, she notices a group of guys nearby being complete degenerates to girls around there, and that gives her an idea of what to do. With her phone in her hand, she decides to use WeChat to spread her thirst traps and meet up with the thirsty men there to find out the source of the spirit energy. While she talks about how men will fall at her feet,
Stop the cap!
a random bloke points out that she's wearing hot pants. Before he can finish, Yu Wei shuts him up with a sharp elbow to the face and tells him to choke on a fat glizzy,
Bombastic side eye.
leaving everyone else watching in shock. With her plan in motion, Yu Wei goes on dates with the guys she attracted online from around the arena, but one by one, she wipes the floor with them when she finds that they have no spirit energy and only the desire to crack her. She then realizes her dancing seduction spell keeps attracting the wrong type of men from around the arena, and it hits her that her target might not be interested in women's meat flaps, but is more interested in a dude's meat sticks. So she decides to change her strategy. That night, while Ying is chatting with Mizu about their upcoming training, his chopped friend, Li, who has his vessels blocked by fat, starts laughing out of nowhere and talks about meeting a cute guy he's been texting at the park. Without warning, Li stands up and walks out like he's under a spell. Ying immediately senses something is off and follows him. As he trails behind, Ying remembers stories about people getting tricked and getting their kidneys and organs taken from mysterious meetups, so he hurries up to save his bloated buddy. They soon arrive at the park, where Li meets Yu Wei, who is disguised as a boy. Yu Wei quickly uses a spirit detection spell on Li, but finds nothing and gets disappointed. She turns to leave, but Li keeps following her because of her dancing seduction spell. Annoyed, she knocks him out with a powerful punch that sends him flying. Ying reacts instantly, taking off with his wings and catching Li before he hits the ground. Meanwhile, Li starts acting flirty towards Ying like he just pounded him good the night before. Creeped out, Ying pushes him away, but Li clings onto him anyway. Just then, Yu Wei cancels her spell, and Li snaps back to normal, confused about why they were so close. Ying tries to explain everything, but when he turns to point at Yu Wei, she's already gone. Watching them from a nearby tree, Yu Wei listens as Li suddenly offers Ying to experience what Li calls the throat exploder, causing Ying to panic and run away in fear of his poor throat. As he heads out to find Mizu, he suddenly gets hit by Yu Wei, who casts her dancing seduction spell on him. Under the spell, Ying becomes dazed and starts loudly confessing his love for Yu Wei like a zombie. Right after that, he follows her all the way to a rooftop, where Yu Wei sets up a spirit restriction barrier so no other cultivators can sense them. But Ying is too distracted to notice. He suddenly drops to one knee and proposes to be her permanent baby daddy, even offering her some skewered roast beef he made before he got there. Yu Wei is caught off guard, but before he gives her his other cut of long, fatty meat, she knocks him with a punch and removes the spell. Back to normal, Ying immediately starts asking questions, but Yu Wei brushes it off and admits his behavior almost made her actually want to eat his meat. Hearing this, Ying worries about what Mizu would think. But before he can react further, Yu Wei pulls out a lightning blade, and Ying finally realizes she's a cultivator. Remembering Mizu's warning, he tries to escape by distracting her and flying off, which doesn't work. Yu Wei suddenly appears behind him, grabs hold of his pants, and slams him back onto the rooftop, leaving him in a position where he's dangling his danglers. He calls her out for being a degenerate who likes to strip off dudes, but she remains unbothered and prepares to finish him off. But a sudden bolt of lightning interrupts her. Looking up, she sees Mizu floating in the air, ready to fight. Mizu immediately scolds Ying for showcasing his Tinky Winky in front of another girl, but Yu Wei just laughs and claims Ying was the one begging to marry her. Ying quickly denies it, but Mizu cuts him off and tells him to kneel while she deals with Yu Wei. After 10 minutes of being punished by his original baby mama, Ying notices that the two girls are having a catfight, and he believes that they are fighting over him. That immediately annoys both of them, and they shut him up by knocking him out on the spot. With him out cold, the two girls get ready to fight. Mizu tells Ying after he wakes up that she'll communicate with him through telepathy from now on, while Yu Wei checks their power levels and sees that Ying is only in the mid-stage of qi condensation, while Mizu is at the early stage of foundation establishment. This makes her furious because two weak cultivators are openly releasing spiritual energy in public. Through their mental link, Mizu reminds Ying about the basics she taught him during training, from how each cultivation stage has a huge gap, and how going up against someone stronger without a special advantage is basically a death wish. Right then, Yu Wei attacks, and Mizu quickly realizes that Yu Wei is actually in the late stage of foundation establishment, far above them, meaning that even if she and Ying fight together, they wouldn't stand a chance. Still, Mizu refuses to back down, and she summons her sword, the Black Sky. She charges in, and the two ladies put on a show on par with Anakin versus Obi-Wan in terms of sword mastery. Yu Wei brings out a flaming sword and launches a powerful strike, but Mizu suddenly disappears and reappears above her, slamming down with her Black Sky technique and sending Yu Wei crashing into the ground. She yells at Ying to run and promises to catch up later. The fight continues, but Yu Wei quickly gains the upper hand. She grabs Mizu by the neck, lifts her into the air, and slams her back down hard. Mizu weakens, barely able to keep going, but Yu Wei keeps attacking without stopping. She prepares an even stronger move and unleashes it, and Mizu throws up a defense restriction to block it, but the attack is far too strong. Meanwhile, as Ying runs, he finally realizes the truth that Mizu won't survive a fight like this with such a huge gap in power. Elsewhere, Yu Wei's master finishes dealing with more victims and starts thinking about using Yu Wei herself next. He plans to harvest her soul to push his own cultivation further, showing he has no loyalty at all. Back at the battlefield, Mizu keeps fighting but eventually takes a heavy hit. Yu Wei walks up to her and tries to get into her head, saying Ying is a coward for running away and leaving his baby mama to die alone. But Mizu refuses to believe that and doesn't let Yu Wei shake her. She fires back, saying someone like Yu Wei would never understand loyalty. That only makes Yu Wei angrier, and she prepares to finish her off. Just as she strikes, Ying suddenly flies back in and takes the hit for Mizu. His acts of bravery completely stun Mizu, as she fully thought she was about to die, but now she sees him standing there. Tears fill her eyes as she remembers what her mother once told her of how the man she would marry would be someone who protects her and stays by her side. As they hold each other, thinking this might be the end, Yu Wei gets annoyed and kicks Ying away before knocking Mizu unconscious. Ying loses consciousness and finds himself in another dimension, where he meets a mysterious figure who calls himself Xuanzi, a guardian of the underworld. Shock, Ying listens as Xuanzi summons the Black Sky and shows its power, which immediately catches Ying's attention. Xuanzi explains that Ying's spirit energy comes from the same source as his, though he's surprised they aren't from the same bloodline. He then realizes Ying must be connected to one of his descendants. Remembering what Mizu told him before, Ying mentions her name and even claims to be her husband. Xuanzi finds that amusing and confirms that Ying is indeed tied to his descendant. Deciding to help him, he brings out the Hun Tian beads and gives them to Ying, saying they hold something useful inside. However, he also says he doesn't have much spirit energy left, so he can only help Ying escape his current situation. As he prepares to leave, he tells Ying his strength will return once he goes back, but when Ying asks how to use the beads, Xuanzi disappears without answering. Back in the real world, Mizu cries over Ying's body, thinking he's gone. Suddenly, a beam of light bursts from him into the sky. Moments later, Ying rises from the light, looking completely different and holding Mizu in his arms, while Yu Wei is left staring in shock, unable to understand what kind of cheesy plot armor she is facing. Seeing the overwhelming spirit power she's witnessing, Yu Wei is completely in awe and in fear at how Ying is quickly leveling up. She starts panicking when she realizes that she can't fight him at her current level and might actually die there. She compares Ying's powers to her own master, and even judges by herself that they might even be on par. Out of desperation, she activates her fire whip and attacks, but Ying destroys it with a single word. Shock, she drops to the ground, her strength gone. With her weapon destroyed, she decides there's no point in continuing the unwinnable fight and yeets herself off the rooftop to her death. However, Ying immediately dives after her and catches her, which surprises her. He calls her an idiot for trying to make herself go splat and tells her it was just a fight, not something worth throwing her life away for. So he suggests to this dummy to run away next time instead of giving up her life completely. When they get back to the rooftop, she pushes him away and asks what someone like him would know about how harsh the world really is. She leaves, and while Ying worries about her, Mizu tells him not to waste energy on it, since everyone has their own problems. She then grabs his ear and starts questioning him about the power he just showcased in front of her. He tries to brush it off, saying that it's because he's the main character of this anime, but she doesn't believe him and knocks him on the head before dragging him away. Later, in a hotel room, Mizu asks again why his spirit power suddenly increased so much, but he keeps trying to avoid her questions. Mizu tells him that his ability to absorb her spirit energy doesn't make sense, and when he keeps pretending not to know anything, she decides to take a different approach. She ties him to the bed and climbs on top of him, saying she'll use a special method that is guaranteed to make him talk. She calls it the Lee family's co-cultivation technique, which Ying is hoping involves gobbling his glizzy.
Bombastic side eye.
But she then leans in and kisses him instead. She explains that this method balances yin and yang by allowing their spirit energy to flow between them. As the process begins, Ying feels like he's entered another space, one that strangely feels familiar. Their energies merge, and he starts seeing fragments of her memories. He finds himself in an empty field and looks around, wondering where she is. Then he notices a locked door. When he touches it, it glows and opens, revealing another scene where a drop of blood falls from a flower. Confused, he watches as a younger Mizu appears, looking sad. Without speaking, she starts adjusting his clothes, and suddenly a dark void opens beneath them, pulling them both in. At the same time, Mizu is exploring Ying's consciousness, moving deeper into his mind to trace the source of his energy, while secretly worried that she might find his memories of gooning to her. As she gets closer, she senses something powerful, like a magic weapon within him, which shocks her. Suddenly, she's pulled into a painful memory of her own past. She sees bodies lying on the ground and then notices her enemy approaching, the one who caused it all. Meanwhile, Ying wakes up in what looks like a burning house inside the memory. He hears someone calling for help and rushes toward the voice, only to see a strange man standing above. As he tries to understand what's happening, an injured woman cries out. But before he can act, the man steps forward and butchers her right in front of him. In that moment, both of them snap back to reality, and Mizu breaks down in tears, while Ying reflects on what he just saw, realizing how much she's been through. Right there, he quietly decides that he'll protect her no matter what. After a while, Mizu explains that her family once had many descendants, but almost all of them were wiped out that night because of their family treasure, the black sky. She says she plans to get revenge one day, as long as she keeps holding on to it. Determined to know, Ying asks about the enemy's strength and suggests they could fight him together, but Mizu shakes her head. She explains that the man has already reached the nascent soul stage, far beyond them, and is supported by several powerful allies, convinced that facing him now would be guaranteed death. But even then, Ying tells her he'll help her defeat him someday. Hearing that, she gives him a quick kiss on the cheek, making him blush. He then considers telling her the truth about his own power, but she stops him, saying she didn't sense anything strange in his mind, apart from a feeling of warmth and comfort that she hasn't felt in a long time. After that, she tells him to leave, which disappoints him since he thought something more might happen. On his way back, Ying suddenly realizes that the Hun Tian beads Xuanzi gave him are gone, and he starts to panic about losing such an important item. But when he returns to his room, he's stunned to find Yue lying on his bed, posing like she's ready to mingle, waiting for him like she's planning to drain him dry. When Ying asks why Yue is in his bed, she says he must have forgotten her. He insists he remembers her and questions why she's dressed like she costs $2 for a membership. In response, Yue pushes out her creamy melons and says that she needs a favor from him. Alarmed, Ying throws his hands up and tells her to take it easy. Yue then admits that, as a broke little hoe, she has nowhere to sleep and suggests sharing his bed. Just as Ying is about to refuse, Yue pulls down her top to convince him, and just like that, he starts scrambling to figure out the sleeping arrangement. Faster than light itself, Li jumps the gun and offers Ying to share his bed and snuggle with him. But Ying refuses to let any hard things stick on him and prefers to sleep on the hard floor instead. The next day, a total simp tries to get Yue to give up her roast beef, and while the cheapo play is expensive to get, a much bigger simp shoos him away. Since there's a long line of desperate admirers waiting their turn, The rejected guy breaks down in tears while Yue grows tired and complains about the side effects of the dancing seduction. Suddenly, a car comes screeching in and nearly runs over one of the other suitors. The driver steps out, and it turns out to be the rich simp himself, Zhao, who throws money in the nearly flattened guy's face to silence him. At that moment, Muzi steps out of a nearby building, spots the commotion, and wonders what Yue is doing there. Zhao then pulls out a diamond ring and holds it out toward Muzi. She assumes it's meant for Yue, but Zhao says that he would rather stick a glizzy where the sun doesn't shine. He asks Muzi out instead, but she tells him that to be her man, he has to be ready to truly protect and care for her. Gesturing toward Yue, Muzi says that girls like her are more his type. Hearing this, Yue decides to raise her own standards. The previously rejected suitor then offers Yue the entire world, but she knocks him out and declares that the only one she wants is Ying and his big, fat, golden pickle. Right then, Ying shuffles onto the scene looking half dead, dreading how to explain things to Muzi. Before he can say anything, Muzi casually invites him to see a movie with her. Yue immediately presses herself against Ying and says she wants to come too. Muzi accuses her of trying to steal her man, while Yue insists Ying belongs to her, and the two begin pulling him in opposite directions. The simps watching, including you losers watching this video, clutch their chests in jealousy, including Zhao, who swears on his own firstborn that he will make Ying pay. Later, at the cinema, Ying notices the two girls are more focused on competing with each other than watching the film. When a scary scene hits, Muzi grips Ying tightly, which irritates Yue, who accuses her of faking it, like how most girls fake their big explosion with their men. To retaliate, Yue kisses Ying on the cheek. Muzi sees this and leans in to do the same. Neither of them notices that Ying has slid down in his seat, and both women end up kissing each other, much to the delight of the guys sitting behind them, who get a far more entertaining show than the one on screen. After the movie, they head outside just as rain starts to fall. Ying pulls off his jacket to offer it, but before he can hand it over, both women grab for it at the same time, sending Ying tumbling to the ground. Soaking shivering, he curses the anime gods for forcing this kind of cheesy romance nonsense into his already pathetic love life. The following day, Ying sets off with a gift for Muzi, only to find Zhao and a crew of hired thugs blocking his path. Zhao accuses him of stealing his woman and threatens his life, then orders the thugs to break his offspring cream shooter. The thugs close in, swinging clubs like Derek Jeter, but Ying tricks them and bolts. They give chase, and when someone sticks out a foot and trips him, he goes down and the gift box skids across the ground. In that moment, Yue and Muzi appear on the scene and charge in, taking the thugs apart. Muzi sends one airborne with a single punch, while Yue drops another with a well-aimed kick. When it's over, both women rush to check on Ying, which breaks Zhao so much that he starts having periods from his mouth. Meanwhile, Ying assures his two baby mamas that he's okay and is more relieved that the gift box survived the fall. He hands it to Muzi, and when she opens it, she finds a pair of plain, homely gloves inside. Ying proudly says that it is his first time giving a gift to a woman, then asks if she likes it. Muzi turns away without a word, leaving him completely at a loss. Nearby, Yue watches the exchange and quietly slips away, realizing that she's fighting a losing battle. She doesn't notice her master watching over her from a rooftop, who is observing her and is hoping that she won't disappoint him. After the awkward gift moment, Muzi and Ying walk together and talk about what kind of abomination he just gifted her. They notice Yue up ahead, walking alone and looking utterly miserable. Ying thinks she reminds him of his old self, back when he had no one. He tells Muzi he wants to go check on her, and she agrees, so he jogs ahead to catch up. He offers to be her friend, but Yue swats his hand away and tells him that if he hadn't gotten that power surge the day before, she would have sent both him and Muzi to watch a Michael Jackson concert without a second thought. She also admits that the only reason she got close to him was because of his strong energy, as she wanted him as a shield against threats. He tells her not to worry about that and says he'll protect her either way, but she asks if Muzi put him up to this just to mess with her head. He tells her she has Muzi completely wrong, and explains that he once entered her spiritual world and saw firsthand that she carries the weight of her whole family's death on her own. He tells Yue that despite how Muzi comes across, she's just as lonely as they are. Yue admits she had written Muzi off as some stuck-up rich girl who looks down on everyone, but he explains that the tough act is just a front, and that he's the only person she genuinely leans on. Yue quietly puts together from everything about the horror that Mizu went through is the reason why he's so fiercely devoted to protecting her. However, he also promises to look out for Yue too, because as far as he's concerned, they're real friends now. The words fluster her so much that she turns and runs off like she's being chased, while Muzi walks up behind Ying and warns him not to comfort Yue too much, or she's going to get seriously jealous. Later that night, A couple is sharing a quiet romantic moment when Yu Wei's master appears out of nowhere. He tells them to stop their attempt at making a junior immediately, and when the guy tries to stand up for his girlfriend, the old man simply lifts him off the ground and snaps his neck. He then activates his power, musing to himself that the fruit he has spent years carefully cultivating, which is Yu Wei, is finally ripe and ready. He drags both bodies to his hideout, where Yu Wei arrives already frantically running through escape plans, terrified of becoming his next meal. He asks about the mission he assigned her, and she apologizes for failing, explaining that Ying became dramatically stronger during their fight, even strong enough that she couldn't finish him off, even at full effort. He tells her it's no problem and reveals that he's already hit a new breakthrough after draining the two lovers he just massacred. He reveals that in 10 days, he plans to wipe out both Ying and Muzi, absorb their blood, and push through to the late stage of core formation. He instructs Yu Wei to keep them occupied and make sure they don't catch wind of his existence. Meanwhile, Ying searches through the forest looking for Yu Wei after she called out for him, and after wandering for a bit, she appears, dressed in a way that any agency for OnlyFans model would drop their money, contract, and pants for. He stares in shock and asks why she dragged him out in the middle of the night looking like that, but she ignores him and starts showcasing her plots and peaches right in front of him. Ying panics and covers his face, though he leaves just enough of a gap to sneak a peek. She asks if he wants to come closer, but he's too flustered to admit it and says he can't betray Muzi like that, even when his mind is trying to stop Mr. Sidfi from going nuclear. She takes the rejection badly and summons her weapon, then launches into a series of deadly attacks, all of which he dodges. She tells him to stop holding back and fight her properly with his spirit energy, but he refuses, saying he won't raise his hand against a friend no matter what. She warns him that he will end up dead if he keeps being stubborn, and she tries to drive her weapon into him just as she did before, and once again he doesn't block or move to stop her, which breaks something in her. She collapses into tears and hits him for refusing to defend himself, then demands to know why he won't fight back. Ying quietly rests a hand on her head and tells her that his spirit energy exists to protect her, not to be used against her. Right then, Mizu finds them in this deeply suspicious position and threatens to make him take inches of her shaking banana 5000 for cheating on her, sending them both scrambling apart like they've been caught in the act. After calming down, Yu Wei tells them that her master will come for them eventually, but Ying says that's exactly why they need her on their side. She then drops the truth on them that her master already sensed the spirit energy released during their recent fights, and the reality of how exposed they are hits them both hard. The two of them then piece it together that Yu Wei's master sent her to fight them, not just to eliminate them, but to test their strength and report back. Yu Wei warns them that her master is close to reaching the middle stage of core formation, and once he gets there, taking them both out will be a piece of cake. Ying realizes it's time to stop stalling and start getting ready for the real fight ahead. Back at the hideout, Yu Wei's master finishes consuming the two bodies and feels his power climbing fast. He decides that what he needs next is Ying and Muzi's blood, which will be enough to break him through to the middle stage of core formation and cut out a decade's worth of slow, tedious cultivation. Back with the gang, Ying concludes that Yu Wei's master is essentially the source of all their problems, but this genius thinks that Yu Wei defying him would be violating some ancient moral code, as though she owes him her life. Mizu cuts through the sentiment and points out that teacher-student loyalty means nothing in this cutthroat cultivation world, where everyone schemes against each other behind hollow smiles. Ying then asks Yu Wei whether she has been bound to this master since childhood, and Yu Wei decides to share her painful past. Long ago, she lived in a small village where her parents cherished her deeply, but her issue came when she struggled to make friends, since the other children constantly called her a monster and tormented her. After snapping at her bullies one too many times despite her efforts to stay calm, she retreated to a cave where her only companion lived in the form of a snake spirit. She spent her time feeding the creature and tending to its wounds. Yu Wei always wished her snake companion could take human form, so they could speak properly, and she could prove to everyone how devoted a friend the snake truly was. She believed that their bond would last forever, but fate had other plans. One day, on her way to the cave, she passed a fortune teller who was busy deceiving a crowd with false prophecies about how Tokyo Ghoul was getting a remake. The old man spotted her and tried to stop her, but she walked right past him, having no interest in his lies about One Punch Man getting better animation. He called after her anyway, claiming she possessed a rare constitution and offering to teach her the Tao. Yu Wei barely understood the nonsense he was spewing, as her mind was on the food she was bringing to her friend. Then he warned her to stay away from the creature she called a companion, saying it would cost her everything she loved if she did not sever the bond immediately. But Yu Wei ran away, refusing to entertain his grim warnings. When she reached the cave, blood was everywhere. Seized with dread, she turned and sprinted back toward town. She tripped and hit the ground hard, and when she looked up, her entire city was in flames as the snake spirit was tearing through the population without mercy. Yue rushed into the burning town in a panic and searched desperately through the bodies for her parents, only to find that they too were dead, which left her in despair. She noticed the fortune teller nearby, badly injured and barely clinging to life. She ran to him, and with his last breath, he revealed that the snake spirit had fled into the forest and urged her to give chase it before he also died. Yue continued to sob, consumed by guilt over the destruction she felt responsible for. She picked up a metal rod and headed into the forest. But when she reached the cave, a stranger appeared and called her a fool for going after the snake spirit alone. He apologized for failing to stop the creature from destroying her village and told her she had to survive, as she was the last person from her hometown. She tried to push past him and failed, and he then explained that snake spirits became dangerously erratic during full moon nights and then handed her a weapon capable of finishing the creature for good. Yue took it without hesitation and followed the trail of blood until she found the snake spirit collapsed on the ground, battered and broken. She approached with fury still burning inside her, threatening to end it and demanding to know why it had slaughtered everyone. The snake spirit suddenly lunged at her, and Yue threw herself to the ground in fear. She managed to channel energy into the dagger and drove it into the creature as it closed in. The snake spirit slumped onto her shoulder and went still, and a rush of memories flooded through her, with every quiet, tender moment they had once shared running through her head. Then, when she came out of the forest, she saw the old man hovering in the air and instantly understood he was an immortal. She fell to her knees and begged him to resurrect the villagers, but he told her that life, death, and reincarnation were governed by heavenly laws he had no right to interfere with. She told him that her heart felt as though it was being torn apart and asked what she was supposed to do with that pain. He offered to take her on as his disciple, promising that walking the path of cultivation would gradually reduce that burning pain. Stunned, she accepted on the spot. He became her master, and she followed him into cultivation. Until one day during training, she discovered he practiced a sinister technique that involved consuming blood to advance his power. His entire demeanor toward her shifted, and the way he looked at her was no longer that of a teacher regarding a student. Back in the present, Ying is frightened by the story of Yuan's past, and the girl explains that this kind of dark technique drains the blood of ordinary people to fuel cultivation. But when it comes to a cultivator's blood, the effect is far more potent, enough to trigger a breakthrough. She explains that cultivator blood is essentially a high-grade resource for his method, and Mizu realizes that if Yue's master defeats them all and consumes their blood, he will break through to the late-stage core formation level, and that realization is an absolute nightmare for all of them. Mizu declares that they are doomed even with their spirit weapons, but Yue tells them they need to act quickly, because if they waste time doing nothing, her master will complete his blood-draining technique and forcibly absorb their spirit energy. Hearing this, Ying panics and suggests to Mizu that they should flee to somewhere far away where no one can find them. Mizu also starts imagining retreating to some peaceful refuge where they could be together. Yue grows irritated watching these two share their moment and immediately shuts down their absurd plan, reminding them that her master will hunt them down no matter where they go. Still clueless, Ying then begs Mizu to transfer all her spirit energy to him, thinking this might give him enough strength to defeat the old man. He adds that even if he dies trying, he would gladly sacrifice himself for her sake. The two share an intimate moment from his words, but Yue smacks him on the head for even thinking that. Ying asks what they should do instead, and she responds that they might actually stand a chance if they combine their efforts. Hearing that, Ying is stunned, wondering if she intends to betray her master, and she responds that it hardly qualifies as betrayal since her master has been eyeing both her hot cheeks and her spirit energy with the intention of eating them for a long time. Her instincts tell her that her time is running out, and she insists that she refuses to just accept death passively, saying they still have a slim chance as long as they cooperate. Mizu warns him not to believe this plan because it could be a trick, but Yue explains that her master's natural talent is actually quite poor, though she does not understand why. Still, her master finally manages to reach core formation stage after years of consuming other people's blood. She adds that it takes her half her training period just to reach foundation establishment stage, but if her master continues advancing rapidly by draining others, she will be dead long before she ever reaches core formation herself. Ying asks whether their combined strength would actually give them a real shot at defeating him, and she replies that they might still have hope since her master has not yet perfected his technique. Otherwise, they can only hope their souls survive whatever comes next. He goes on to explain that they need to strike while he is vulnerable, but Mizu objects that even if the three of them attack together, they are still far weaker than he is. Yue reveals, however, that his blood-draining method has a critical flaw, and if they can draw into their trap, there might be a way to bring him down. Later that night, Mizu and Ying are at the inn, and he asks if they will be dual cultivating tonight, but Mizu hits him on the head and calls him an idiot for even thinking that. However, deep down, the truth is that she is jealous that he wants to play the hero for Yue again, but he replies that he is only trying to honor the name his father gave him. Mizu thinks this is actually a decent answer and tells him that since he has chosen to fight, they need to improve their odds of success. This excites him because he assumes she has agreed to dual cultivate with him so they can reach core formation together, but she refuses him once more. He feels disappointed, wondering why they even got a room then. She suddenly takes his hand and tells him that the last time they kissed, she saw a glowing sphere in his inner consciousness, but he pretends not to know what she means. Mizu tells him that it is not the point, but that she sensed that the energy of this orb resembles her family's power and is different from the spirit energy he absorbed from her. She adds that this power is stronger than anything she has encountered before, but he tells her he assumes this is just his innate potential as a cultivator. She continues, saying that if he can successfully access this energy, they might actually have a chance against Yue's master. He asks how he can tap into this power, and she explains that it likely functions like a spirit weapon, meaning he would need to use his blood to awaken it and establish a bond with the power. Hearing this, Ying becomes hopeful that they might win, but Mizu delivers the bad news that releasing a weapon spirit is dangerous because it could completely possess his body. This terrifies Ying, but he agrees to release the weapon spirit regardless since this is the best option among their limited choices, and Mizu immediately cuts his palm with her spirit weapon as she calls forth the spirit. In that moment, the spirit emerges, and Ying offers his blood to seal the contract. Then a stunning female spirit appears, and Mizu senses she possesses an extremely high cultivation level. Ying grows excited, thinking they no longer need to fear Yuwen's old prune of a master. However, the weapon spirit crushes his hopes when she tells him he needs to reach ascendant soul level to wield her full strength. She adds that he is too weak to maintain her summoned form for long, and she disappears just to emphasize her point. Mizu tells him his cultivation level cannot even access a fraction of her true power, and he suggests they dual cultivate to boost his strength, but she rejects him yet again. Later that night, Ying thinks that if he cannot use his weapon spirit in battle, he will at least summon her for other reasons, so he cuts his palm again to call her forth, but he struggles to do so. The next day, while he walks around contemplating their plan to defeat Yue's master, Zhao appears again with two cultivators and demands that he surrender Mizu if he wants to live. However, Ying tells this little punk with an even smaller willy that the choice belongs to Mizu, which angers Zhao. Zhao orders the two cultivators to attack, and as they rush forward with powerful strikes, Yue and Mizu suddenly intervene to block them. They both summon their spirit weapons, and upon seeing this, the two cultivators become excited, making Yue and Mizu realize they are facing weapon hunters. They both attack with their weapons, but the two cultivators quickly cast techniques that nullify their attacks and trap both of them, sealing their powers. Ying tries to help as well, but they easily knock him down. One of the cultivators threatens to end him for good unless Yue and Mizu hand over their weapons. However, Ying chooses to mock this bum, and the dude decides to end Ying. But just as he is about to strike, a brilliant light flares, and his weapon spirit appears to protect Ying. She also releases Mizu and Yue, shocking the two cultivators, who immediately attempt to escape, but Mizu stops them, and they fall to their knees pleading for their lives in tiny tic-tacs before fleeing. Meanwhile, Yue's master observes from afar, and he is delighted that these fools will soon become his sacrifices to reach the late stage of core formation. Meanwhile, Zhao is completely in awe seeing the baddie of a weapon spirit, and when he expresses how much he wants to get one of her, his butler immediately orders multiple low-budget cosplayers to make Zhao happy. But then, Mizu gives Zhao a final warning never to bother Ying again, saying that she will burst his dangleberries into jam if he tries again, and this completely breaks Zhao's spirit, and he retreats like someone who has just been publicly humiliated. Meanwhile, Yue examines the weapon spirit with fascination, wondering how something like this is even possible. The weapon spirit introduces herself and mentions having some sort of blood bond with Ying, which only adds to the confusion. Mizu is surprised that Ying has managed to cultivate this spirit so effectively in just one night, which seems impossible for someone at his level. Yue begins asking about his powerful spirit weapon, but Ying's mind immediately recalls Xuanzi warning him to stay silent about their encounter and the weapon he received, or there will be serious trouble. Since the Han Tian beads are tied to Xuanzi's family heritage, Ying knows he cannot reveal the truth, so he quickly lies and claims that the anime gods gave him the main character treatment and gave him the weapon. Yue then asks the weapon spirit for her name, thinking they could learn more about the spirit weapon through her identity, but the spirit reveals that she does not have a name at all. Everyone stands there bewildered until Ying suggests they give her one. They then brainstorm names like LeBron to Big Shagger, but when Ying suggests that they name her Ling, she accepts immediately since he is her master. Then, Yue leaves to prepare the Yang Flame Array, which they need for the coming confrontation with her corrupt master. Mizu turns to Ying and tells him he needs to stop being so useless in combat, which makes him feel deeply embarrassed. Ling supports Mizu's criticism by telling him he seriously needs to improve his cultivation to avoid getting sent to the same place Jiraiya is chilling at. Ying feels ashamed knowing how weak his fighting abilities are, but Ling explains that his cultivation level is actually acceptable, but that his issue is that he just fights like someone with zero motoric abilities and learned to punch from playing Tekken. She points out that Mizu worries about him getting hurt, and he admits he is tired of always relying on women for protection. So Ling decides to take him into another realm to help improve his combat abilities. Meanwhile, Mizu watches them vanish from a distance, secretly hoping Ling will teach him Kamehameha and how to turn into Gear 5, because she believes they have virtually no chance of winning the battle against Yue's master. Ling shows Ying the extraordinary realm inside the Huntian beads, and his mind is blown by how such an enormous space can exist inside those small spheres. She explains that the cultivation world is filled with miraculous weapon spirits and legendary artifacts, then shares her own backstory about being forged by her original master using 10 rare treasures and infused with 10 years of concentrated spirit energy in some frozen domain. Ying is impressed and assumes she must be incredibly strong, but Ling grounds him by reminding him that her power is limited by her master's cultivation level. He asks if there is some way she could destroy the core formation enemy with her high-level abilities, and she confirms there is a method, but it would mean she could never see him again. This information shocks him, and he immediately asks if this requires her to die, which she confirms that it will. She explains that if he merges with her, or becomes too closely linked during cultivation, it will trigger a catastrophic explosion that will devastate hundreds of miles. Ying immediately rejects this idea, saying he would never treat her as an expendable tool. He then asks why he remains so weak despite having more spirit energy than Mizu, and she breaks it down for him. She explains that a cultivator's strength comes from transforming the essence of heaven and earth into spirit energy through specific channels in their body. Since his spirit energy comes from external sources rather than his own cultivation efforts, he lacks the understanding of how to actually wield it properly. Surprised by this explanation, he asks how he can learn to use his current spirit energy effectively. Ling says she has a solution and moves behind him to remove his clothing, which makes him panic and ask if her solution involves making him explode in a way any man would approve of. He then starts freaking out and trying to resist whatever is happening, but Ling looks at him like he has lost his senses, which makes him realize his thoughts have drifted to some degenerate place, and he feels like an idiot. She tells him to sit down and close his eyes so she can guide his spirit energy correctly. When she starts moving her hands over his body to channel the energy flow, he becomes flustered again, but she tells him to concentrate on the training instead of getting distracted like a loser who never touched a woman. After she guides the spirit energy through his channels for a while, he is amazed to find he can actually control it. Ling tells him his learning pace is impressive, and with 5 to 10 days of practice, he could master his spirit energy control. She then reveals that there is another method where she can directly transfer her spirit energy to him, which would allow him to use his power freely immediately. However, she adds that the price to pay is that the process will be extremely painful, but Ying tells her to proceed anyway since he is desperate. She begins transferring her spirit energy into his body, which feels like being cracked by 5 Donnies at the same time, over and over again. The pain and sensation are so intense that Ying thinks that he might lose consciousness, but he endures it by thinking about all the hardship Yue and Mizu have endured in their lives. The agony becomes almost unbearable, but finally the spirit energy transfer is complete, and they both stand up. Just when they think they can rest, a tree spirit that has been watching them the entire time suddenly launches a surprise attack. However, Ying immediately blasts a hole through the tree, and it collapses and disappears. While Ying marvels at his new capability, Ling tells him he can combine the spirit energy transfer with the basic technique he already learned. When Ying understands what she means, he summons his wings and soars into the sky in celebration. After Ying lands and Ling congratulates him, he asks why a tree spirit exists in the bead realm, but Ling says that even though she has lived in the Huntian bead for a long time, she does not know all of its mysteries. However, she mentions that she knows in ancient times, there was far more spiritual energy in the bead realm than in the outside world. Curious, Ying wonders why there is so little spirit energy now and assumes something major must have occurred in the past. Just then, Ying receives a message from Mizu, who asks him to return and join her to prepare for the battle. However, when they arrive at the location, Ying nearly chokes when he realizes they are at an adult store, but she assures him that this joins is actually a hidden cultivation shop. Shortly after, when Ling joins them, she asks what adult products are, and Ying explains they are special items used by senior cultivators. Shortly after, Ying and the others enter the store, where the owner instructs the staff to treat the guests well. They are greeted by a man who asks what they need. To set the atmosphere, he calls for music, and while the music plays, the guy gives off an overly enthusiastic vibe and tells them to browse the products. Annoyed, Mizu destroys the music system, startling the staff as they realize she is a cultivator. So they welcome them properly and inform Mizu that she just destroyed expensive equipment. But Mizu tosses her card at them and tells them to charge it to her account like a true boss babe. When Mizu asks to see their boss, they offer to take Mizu to see their boss, while the others are told to wait outside. Just then, Mizu throws a pouch at Ying and tells him to browse around before they meet outside later. Upon checking the pouch, Ying finds some crystals while Ling explains that they are low-grade spirit stones, which serve as currency in the cultivation world. When Ying says they look like gems, the receptionist realizes he is a novice and decides to take advantage of him. So she approaches Ying and invites him to check out the store's magical items. Hearing this, Ying thinks it is about time he obtained a proper weapon. Shortly after, the receptionist leads them into the store, and Ying immediately notices a cloak and assumes it will let him fly. However, the receptionist states it is a defensive cloak that protects its wearer from attacks, and adds that it costs 500 spirit stones. She then offers a discount if he buys 3, but upon checking the pouch, Ying realizes he only has 50 spirit stones to spend. Since he is a first-time customer, the receptionist mentions that the cheapest item in their shop, even with a discount, is 300 spirit stones. A few moments later, Ying searches the store for something affordable and eventually decides to save the money for Mizu. Since Ying does not understand the value of spirit stones, the receptionist grows desperate to make him spend them. So she informs him that the store can offer him opportunities to win high-value items. Curious, Ying asks her to elaborate, so the receptionist mentions a game called Gamble Stone, which involves jade and luck. She then explains that the excavated jades are covered with weathered stone layers, so no one knows the quality of the jade inside. These raw stones are used for gambling, and customers can purchase them at a low price. Hearing this, Ying says he had no idea magical treasures could be obtained through gambling. So the receptionist leads them forward while Ying asks Ling for her opinion. In response, Ling tells him to try it, and the receptionist grows excited about making a profit for the store. Meanwhile, elsewhere in the building, the store boss, Mai Maisie, examines Mizu's card to verify its authenticity and confirms it is genuinely a card issued to the Cultivation Li family. So Mizu requests the most valuable magical treasure in the shop, but Mai Maisie says he will have to keep the card in that case. After Mizu agrees, Mai Maisie goes to retrieve the magical treasure, while his assistant asks if it is really wise to hand over the most powerful item. But Mai Maisie explains that the item is not as valuable as people believe anymore, since the headquarters ordered all branch stores to close and return the Spirit Stone magical treasures. He then reveals that none of the standard treasures in the shop is the truly important magical item. Curious, Mai Maisie's assistant asks why the shops are closing, and Mai Maisie explains that someone connected to Mizu's family might come for the stones. Meanwhile, the staff shows Ying and Ling a room filled with boxes and explains that even the boxes themselves are valuable, so it will not be a loss even if they get the worst one. Ling then assures Ying that she will help him choose the best box and tells him to proceed. So Ying scans the room and notices an expensive-looking box. Just as he prepares to select it, the staff grows anxious, but Ying suddenly stops and asks Ling to choose for him, and she picks a box that looks plain. Concerned, Ying shakes the box and wonders what it contains. Just then, the staff eagerly confirms his selection and opens the box with a spell. Upon checking the contents of the box, Ling finds a rusty dagger and appears unimpressed. Meanwhile, the enthusiastic staff congratulates him and refers to the dagger as the soul of dragon blood. Afterwards, Ying and the others leave, and the staff quickly reports to her boss about how she made a sale by selling a gambling box. When she reveals that Ying obtained a rusty dagger called the Soul of Dragon, Mai Maisie suddenly gets a nosebleed and faints while saying that the rusty dagger is extremely valuable. Later, Yu Wei goes to report back to her master, like she always does. He calmly asks how the mission is going, and Yu Wei admits that she failed, trying to keep it simple, but the old man isn't convinced for even a second. He smirks and tells her to stop pretending, revealing that he already knows she has been working with the other two cultivators and planning against him. Hearing that makes Yu Wei freeze. She quickly denies it, but he drops another truth that he's been watching everything from the start. He explains that he has been disguised as a school janitor the whole time, quietly observing and listening in. Yu Wei is shocked and calls him out for being sneaky, but he doesn't care. He casually explains that blending in like that lets him drain students' energy while also keeping track of anyone plotting against him. Before she can react further, he suddenly attacks. Yu Wei barely dodges in time and immediately turns to run. But he chases after her like a single, broke moms chasing down promising young rich men. At the same time, Ying and the others are busy looking at his new weapon. Ling starts explaining what he actually got from that gamble. She tells him it's not just a random blade, but that it's a sealed spirit weapon with the soul of a real dragon trapped inside. That instantly makes the dagger far more important than it looks. She explains that long ago, a powerful cultivator defeated a red dragon that was causing chaos and sealed its soul into the weapon. On top of that, the blade is coated with red dragon blood, which is highly corrosive and can break through almost anything. Ying and Mizu are both surprised by how much Ling knows, but she simply shrugs and says she's been around long enough to the point that she knows Victoria's secret. Then she adds something even more shocking, that it was Xuanzi who defeated the dragon, which makes Ying realize just how valuable this weapon really is. For a moment, he wonders if releasing the dragon could help them deal with their enemy. But Ling quickly shuts that idea down. She explains that the dragon is a dangerous creature that hates humans and would likely cause more problems than it solves. Besides, she has no idea how to release it anyway. Mizu complains that this makes the weapon seem useless, but Ling disagrees. She points out that a treasure like this must have another way to be used. She suggests Ying try channeling his spirit energy into it. He does exactly that, and suddenly, there are 3 versions of Ying standing there, created through a technique called body separation. Mizu isn't impressed at first, but Ling points out that even she can't tell which one is real, which by that alone makes it powerful. Ying is happy with the result, and Mizu is also surprised at how smoothly he's able to control his energy now, to which he gives credit to Ling for helping him improve. Right then, Ying receives a telepathic message from Yu Wei. Her voice sounds urgent as she warns him that her master is coming after all of them and tells him to meet at a specific place. Ying immediately tells Mizu and prepares to go. She hesitates, clearly worried, and asks if he's really going to risk it. When he says yes, she gives him a protective pendant she bought earlier and makes him promise to stay alive. Without wasting more time, they head out together. Meanwhile, Yu Wei keeps running, but her master stays close behind. He calmly reveals that everything happening now was planned from the beginning. From the moment he took her in as a student, he already intended to use her for his own gain. Hearing that makes Yu Wei furious, realizing she's been nothing more than a tool to him all this time. As Ying and Mizu move, she warns him again that they're not strong enough to defeat someone like that. She suggests their only chance is to rely on some kind of formation or strategy. Even so, Ying feels like something about the situation isn't right, though he can't explain why. Soon, Yu Wei runs out of places to escape. With no other choice, she turns to face her master. He looks at her like she's already lost, and tells her she has no chance against him. Just as he attacks, Ying suddenly arrives and blocks it, saving her at the last second. There, the master notices Ying's body separation technique, but doesn't seem impressed. He immediately counters with a powerful attack called Bloody Palm, aiming at all of them at once. Yu Wei and Mizu step forward to defend, but even together, they struggle and take damage. Ying sends his clones into attack, while Yu Wei and Mizu follow up with their own moves, but none of it works, as the old cultivator blocks everything with ease. Yu Wei quickly realizes they can't break through his defense like this, and tells the others they need to coordinate better. The master, however, treats the whole fight like a game. He mocks them, saying they have no idea what real power looks like at his level. One by one, their attacks fail, and he starts overpowering them completely. Seeing this, Ying starts thinking of a last option. He remembers the special property of his dagger and decides to take a risk. Charging forward, he attacks directly. At the moment their attacks meet, he suddenly switches to his dagger and strikes. The blade breaks through the defense just enough to leave a small wound on the man's chest, proving that, just like Thanos, this old prune can bleed. The old man is stunned to see someone on the lowest bum level like Ying managing to hurt him. He stares at the dagger, trying to figure out what kind of weapon could break through his defenses. Then his expression turns dark. Without hesitation, he rushes forward, grabs Ying by the throat, and starts draining his spirit energy like a monster feeding on its prey, but feels that something is off, and in the next second, Ying vanishes. A clone appears behind him and attacks, forcing the old man to let go. That's when he realizes he's been holding a fake body the whole time. What he doesn't know is that the dagger Ying is using has another hidden ability that allows him to shift his consciousness between bodies, where as long as his clones are active, He can switch places and escape danger at the last moment. Now irritated, the old cultivator stops holding back. He activates a terrifying technique called fiend art. The air around them shifts, and a powerful force begins pulling everything toward him. At the same time, it drains their blood and spirit energy, like a vortex that won't stop. Ying immediately calls out for Ling, and when this baddie appears, she steps in without hesitation. She raises a barrier that blocks the attack, cutting off the draining force. She calmly tells Ying that she can hold this off, but only for a limited time. The old man narrows his eyes and tries to sense her cultivation level, but something about her feels unclear. He assumes she's bluffing and launches another attack. The barrier cracks slightly under the impact, but Ling quickly reinforces it, restoring it before it can break. That's when the old man realizes she isn't faking anything. Even so, the barrier starts shrinking slowly under the pressure of repeated attacks. Seeing this, the old cultivator grows confident again. He keeps striking it, over and over, wondering why someone this strong is only defending instead of attacking back. Then it clicks to him that she's not a normal cultivator, but a weapon spirit. Yue hears this and feels a chill run down her spine, realizing that if he knows what Ling really is, then their situation is even worse. She quickly tells Ying and Mizu that they need to leave right now while Ling holds him back. Without arguing, they turn and run into the forest. Once they get some distance, Ying calls Ling back, absorbing her into himself again. They don't stop moving until they reach a place where they can prepare their next move. There, they quickly set up an array formation, hoping it will give them a chance. After some time passes, the old man catches up with them and is surprised they have stopped running. He rushes toward them with bloodlust, and Yue immediately begins casting the spell to activate their trap array. The corrupt cultivator falls right into their trap and starts struggling against the magical restraints, so Ying and Mizu quickly launch their attacks while they have the chance. Yue also unleashes her strongest technique, but they are all left stunned when the old man suddenly breaks free and sends them flying backward like they are nothing. Yue demands to know why their carefully planned array had no effect on him, and he starts laughing like the schemer he is. He reveals that she must have secretly studied his fiend art techniques from his instruction manual, but then drops a major revelation that all the weaknesses and countermeasures written in that book were completely fabricated after he had deliberately included false information to trick her into using this specific array formation, which would actually amplify the power of his fiend art instead of suppressing it. Essentially, they have just given him the perfect setup to destroy them and absorb all their spirit energy. Yue and Mizu realize they have walked straight into an elaborate trap and are now in serious danger, so they start fleeing again. While the old master tries to stop their escape, Ying summons Ling once more to block his path and give his friends a chance to get away. The corrupt cultivator watches his targets fleeing and starts thinking of ways to prevent them from escaping. Suddenly, he calls out to Yue and begins talking about the massacre that destroyed her village years ago, which makes her stop in her tracks like she has been frozen. He begins telling the horrible truth about how 20 years ago, he had been hunting the snake spirit to Yue's village because he wanted to obtain the creature's core, but he never expected to find a girl who had already reached the late stage of chi condensation, which was extraordinary for someone that young. He discovered that Yue had a unique constitution that allowed her to cultivate automatically from birth, which he viewed as the perfect solution for his own poor cultivation talent. This twisted man disguised himself as the fortune teller and tried to persuade little Yue to follow him. But when she refused, he devised the most cruel plan possible. He decided to slaughter her entire village while disguised as the snake spirit, and he even used some magical herb that could make the snake spirit go completely wild. The innocent girl thought her beloved best friend had slaughtered everyone she loved and begged him for help getting revenge, which gave him the perfect chance to manipulate her into following him and training under his corrupt guidance. The old demon then reveals the final devastating truth that not only had he successfully deceived Yue into becoming his student, but he had also obtained the snake spirit's core during all that chaos. Hearing this shatters Yue's heart completely, and she begins crying as she thinks about how her only friend had been used as a tool against her own family. The anger and betrayal overwhelm her, and she summons Li Fire as she charges back toward this monster who destroyed her entire life. Ying follows right behind her as support, and when Yue approaches her master with a fierce attack, he blocks her assault with a powerful barrier effortlessly. But while this arrogant man is focused on Yue, Ying appears out of nowhere and stabs him with the soul of the real dragon blood, which actually manages to penetrate his defenses. The old man becomes absolutely furious and activates some extreme controlling art technique that begins affecting the weather itself. Meanwhile, up in the sky, Zhao is traveling in his private aircraft with his butler when sudden turbulence strikes the vessel and sends it into a crash. The pilot immediately grabs a parachute and abandons everyone else, leaving Zhao and his butler to figure out their own escape. Another passenger who clearly does not care about Zhao's safety snatches the second parachute and tries to save himself, but the loyal butler stops him and insists that his master must escape first. The two start fighting over the parachute, which unfortunately tears it apart and sends the man falling to his death. Then, the butler spots one last parachute and grabs his master while desperately reaching for the emergency equipment that is about to fall out of the plane. Meanwhile, Mizu has come up with her own risky plan and flies up into the sky to board the crashing aircraft before activating her ultimate technique, called Heaven's Punishment. She directs the entire plane toward the old prune like a weapon, and when he sees this incoming threat, he is shocked but also relieved that Mizu is only at Foundation establishment level, or he would have had to flee. As Mizu approaches with her aircraft projectile, the old demon immediately begins absorbing the thunder energy from Heaven's Punishment to help him break through to the late stage of core formation. This is followed by a massive explosion from the plane crash that illuminates the entire battlefield, and Mizu starts deflecting lightning attacks that the old monster is throwing at her. The corrupt cultivator gathers a powerful lightning bolt in his hand and hurls it at Mizu, which knocks her out of the sky. Ying quickly runs to rescue her, but as he catches her in his arms, the old man unleashes another devastating lightning attack at them. However, the protective pendant that Mizu had given him earlier suddenly activates and saves them both from being destroyed. However, the old man prepares to launch yet another attack, and as he approaches them for the finishing blow, Ying combines his powers with Mizu's cultivation and unleashes a joint technique called Heaven's Punishment Girlfriend, which instantly severs one of the monster's arms and proves that teamwork really can overcome evil. After losing an arm to the attack, the old prune becomes enraged and decides to unleash his most powerful technique, the fiend art he obtained from draining people's blood called blood absorption. Suddenly, a vortex appears and begins draining blood and spirit energy from each of them. Suddenly, Ling appears and halts the absorption while stating that she cannot hold on much longer, but Ying suspects Ling might be affected by the devastating spell, so he orders her to return to the Huntian bead while he deals with it. So, Ling disappears, leaving Ying, who then says he will not let the old man harm Mizu. Amused, the old demon asks if he is counting on his favorite dagger and seizes control of the dagger to attack Ying. After this, he boasts about being the master of controlling art and claims that his power is at its peak because they injured his arm and fed more blood to the fiend art. While they all lose spirit energy, he decides to get revenge on Mizu for his arm and controls her to grab her own neck. Seeing this, Ying rushes to save her, but not before the old monster snaps her neck. When he drops her body, Ying attacks him with everything he has, but the old dog promises to be merciful when he finishes absorbing his spirit energy. He then blasts Ying away, but fortunately, Ying finds his dagger again. So he picks up the dagger and suddenly unleashes his wings to fly, taking on a new form as he cuts his arm and releases some blood to feed the vortex. However, Ying soon takes control of the vortex, and it begins absorbing the old man's blood instead. Shocked to see this, the old cultivator panics while Ying explains that it is the effect of the soul of the dragon blood, so the fiend art stops, and Yue suddenly rises to attack her old master with her flaming lasso, which pierces through his hand, but he manages to knock her down. Suddenly, the old man reactivates his fiend art, but this time, Ying counters it before charging toward him. Then, the old prune notices his body parts decaying, but continues fighting. He then breaks open the ground and launches rocks at Ying to prevent him from getting closer, but Ying dodges the rocks. Suddenly, he traps Ying with many rocks, but to his surprise, Ying breaks out of the rock prison and lunges toward him at incredible speed, driving the dagger through him. It causes the old monster to burst into flames and says that his senior apprentice will avenge him. Before he vanishes, he leaves a curse and states that they will all live in fear, while Yue feels satisfied for taking her revenge. Meanwhile, Ying heads over to Mizu and calls on an elder to appear. Just then, the eye in the sky appears and is surprised that Ying is aware of its presence. So Ying explains that when Mizu explored his consciousness, he could sense some other power observing, although he was not certain of its purpose. The eye then asks why he is acknowledging it now, and Ying says it is because he believes it can save Mizu. When he says that life will be meaningless without Mizu, the eye says it never thought Ying could be foolishly sentimental, and adds that cultivators can always be saved as long as they still have some life remaining. After this, the eye asks Ying why it should help him, and Ying promises to fulfill any demand to save Mizu. Just then, the eye says it has been observing Ying to obtain his Huntian bead. So Ying summons the bead and offers it to the eye, but the eye laughs and says it would not need Ying if it could take the beads. So Ying asks the eye how it will get them, and the eye reveals that it exists in a different dimension. It then tells Ying to bring the bead to it in 3 years' time. But when Ying asks for its location, the eye tells him to find the answer himself, since it is restricted from revealing its location by higher powers. After this, Ying asks what will happen if he fails to uphold his end of the agreement, and the eye states that it can easily take Mizu's life away just as easily as it can save her. It then takes Mizu's body in a cloud while Ying vows to find the eye's location. The eye then promises to heal Mizu and tells him not to interfere. Meanwhile, Zhao examines the crash site of his plane, and when he complains about it, his butler suggests that he purchase a new one. Curious, Zhao asks how much planes cost, and in response, the butler says he could get one for 5 million. So Zhao orders him to get more planes since they are so affordable. Afterwards, the butler asks Zhao how they will get home, and a few moments later, Zhao rides on his shoulder while shouting about how fun it is to feel like he is running in the wind. Suddenly, he closes his eyes and stretches out his hands while imagining himself grabbing some plots, but he crashes into a tree branch and falls to the ground. Sometime later, things calm down, and Mizu leads Ying, who is blindfolded, through the woods, and after a while of walking, he asks if they have arrived. In response, Mizu tells him to be patient, and while Ying is scared that he might be taken to a shady place, he decides to continue, secretly hoping for some throat technique from her under a tree. Mizu then leads him along and shortly after, asks him to remove his blindfold. Just then, Ying realizes they are at a beautiful flowery field where they can be alone without anyone hearing. So they sit under a tree while Mizu explains that it is her mother's favorite spot for picnics and mother-daughter conversations. She then reveals that her mother taught her how to find and keep a good husband, and leans in to ask Ying if he would like to see her husband keeping skills. When she reveals that she knows 1,000 ways to keep him satisfied, Ying stares at her lips while she asks if he would like a spirited fight. Hearing this, Ying's imagination runs wild, so he says he would like to try. But when Mizu draws her actual sword, he panics and says he had a different kind of fight in mind. Surprised, Mizu asks what he means and leans on his chest while saying she can give him whatever he asks. So Ying decides to be sincere and reassures Mizu that she will never be alone or have to fight anymore. Hearing that, Mizu says she still has something to do, and she leans into him to reclaim the first kiss he took from her. If you watch this anime recap until the end, comment down cultivator baddie. That's it for this video. Leave a like if you enjoyed it, and if you want to see more, watch this video on screen.